Again, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the final 2019 episode of the On Air Advocate, where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I'm the host and producer of the On Air Advocate, and I am super excited if you are joining us this morning or whether you're catching this on the replay. Now, as always, if you think the content that we are talking about today could be relevant for anyone in your network or your circle, please hit the share button and share the love with others. Well, as you guys know, we are wrapping up 2019 tonight, and we are launching into our reset series for 2020. And I could think of no one better than to take us out on this last episode and into our new episodes than Vicki Fitch. She is an author, an international keynote speaker, and a business consultant that does like 500,000 amazing things. And so I'm going to let her tell you about that once we get rolling. And then we're going to really launch into this New Year's Eve special edition. So Vicki, welcome again to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me. I always feel like we have the best time, right? It's so exciting to help people recognize their own value and that what they're doing is valuable, as caregivers, as people. And we just, sometimes I think we forget how important our role is because we're so busy getting everything done and taking care of everybody that we forget that we have to, nurture ourselves as well. So I love your show and thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, and Vicki, for the folks that may have not seen you on a past episode, can you just give kind of in like a snapshot, a little bit of Vicki?
Well, you introduced me, author, speaker, international business consultant. I have been in the direct sales industry for 20 years and wrote a series of books. I just finished the 12 books, 12-month series. I actually launched number 13 a couple of weeks ago because I started it on 12/12 at 12/12. I could not have another book on 12/12 at 12/12. So super excited about that. Helping people recognize their internal value. The whole series is to identify how to become the best version of yourself. And I think that's what we're all working on, as whatever we're doing, that we've got to do that. And this is a great topic for the new year to look at how can we really focus on 2020 and leverage out this new decade to become the best version of ourselves.
Yes. And I know that you also, which we talked about, you were on for a bullying, our bullying segment,
Mm-hmm.
and, our kiddos at school and our, really looking at mental health for our kids today.
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit about that project that you've kind of founded?
Absolutely. The You Are Enough Global Initiative is from this book, Evict the Bully in Your Head. And it's I don't know if you can see that because I'm not looking at myself on air. There you go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's the You Are Enough Global Initiative to help people recognize their internal value, to identify when kids are getting bullied at school, that really, and the key factor that we're missing not only in schools and corporations, companies, hospitals is empathy, is that, do not accept unacceptable behavior, but we need to look at what I call peeking behind the curtain and see, why do people act that way? I mean, we aren't born that way. We don't wake up every morning, or happy, confident people don't wake up in the morning and think, who can I hurt today? Who can I be mean to? And so when we look behind there, we have to recognize that people are hurting. And sometimes, in the caregiving industry, people are hurting because they're not recognized and they don't feel like they're valued. They don't feel like anybody even notices all the work they do when life would actually fall apart, if they weren't there. And so it's a way to regain your own self-esteem. I call it the anti-bullying, self-esteem building, suicide prevention program, all rolled up into one.
I love it. I love it. And if you guys didn't catch those segments, that was back in September. You need to just go back on YouTube, find it, or go back on Facebook because it was great. We really dove into that, and we were on with Dr. Lulu as well. So it was wonderful. Now, Vicki, what we kind of talked about before the show, and I had a couple other interviews this morning already on other platforms, and we were kind of discussing when we talk about a new year. We're kind of launching into this new year. What I've seen a lot for this year is like 2020 vision for this new decade. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you in the space that you sit in? What does a new year mean to you?
Well, I am a big believer in, I'm an organized person. So I'm a big believer in preparing for the new year, getting started, and having a plan. But I also, because I believe, that's our whole thing, 2020, vision, focus. That is what we're going through, just maybe with a different angle. And it's kind of like the new decade is kind of like a clean slate. It's, every year is, but these new decades, because people push things off. And guys, if you're listening right now, don't make excuses. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. I
Right.
don't want to set you up for anything other than encouragement, but don't make excuses. Just if you falter, if you set a goal and it doesn't happen, just stay the course. I in Direct
Right.
Selling 201, it was the third book in the series, I talk about course correction and that it's okay. Life is going to change. I have a plan in October. I do the plan for 2020, right? The following year. Things change. They change rapidly. It's got to be a fluid plan, but the base, the consistency part has got to stay there. If it's making phone calls, if it's, dealing with issues, and I have a program called the Rockstar Guide to Getting It Done, and it finds places on your schedule each week to make sure you're getting those things done, because that's what happens when we course correct, or let's say someone falls ill, or there's a car accident, or something happens that all of a sudden, and then people do this, they throw their hands up, they give up and feel discouraged, and then want to wait till the next year or the next month. But I think both you and I, Tammy, want to encourage people that it's a moment to moment, day to day process. You can restart any second. We're using, midnight tonight as this great,
Right.
catalyst, and it
Hundreds of
should be.
thousands of people
Right?
started.
Woo! But so many people, I think they say like by January 10th, people have already given up on the goals. And,
Mhm.
guys, come on. We have got to, come up with something, and you build backwards into that plan, but come up with a plan and then be consistent as you
Right.
can. In my business, always in the direct sales industry, for instance, making 5 phone calls a day, every day, rain or shine, make the calls. And it's like, it doesn't matter if nothing happens from that phone call. It doesn't matter. What matters is the momentum that you're building and that consistency. So when I ended up in a wheelchair for 3.5 years, my business had been built so strong and had such great consistency that I stayed in the top 10 worldwide in sales and recruiting while I was in a wheelchair, not being able to
Right.
perform. Right. So we have to look at that same thing here. What's ailing you? What are you struggling with? Create a consistent plan and just stick to the plan.
Right. Committed.
It's going to change, but just,
Mhm.
and forgive yourself. Like, seriously, this is a funny thing, and nobody take this too seriously. Take it with tongue in cheek. But Amanda Gore is a great speaker, and she says, build a bridge and get over it. Right. So we've got to do that. We have to forgive ourselves and don't let the judgment or the ridicule or the sassiness or sarcasm of other people, diminish your goals and objectives, or your self-esteem, because that's just them looking to, put things on other people.
And, Vicky, I would say that, I mean, I would think that you would agree that not every day is an easy day. You know what I'm saying? When people see like you online, myself online, like that push of our internal self, and whether that is that you have formulated a business off of social media, whether that's that you go to your office job every day,
Hmm.
whether that's that you are a caregiver caring for your loved one, each and
Hmm.
every day, I think that that positivity and that mindset. And that's where so much of this kind of stuff comes in, of building a strong mindset to push ourselves on those days that aren't so great, to still get up and make any movement. And when I was speaking earlier, I talked about, sometimes our world gets so shook up that if we have this strategic plan that we're doing every day, it's like we're committed still and we're consistent, but maybe we can't raise at that level that we were. So maybe if it was that you had 5 things you were getting done, if you got 2 things done in the day, 2 things on the next day, but you stayed consistent and you continued moving forward, even as slow as it is, it's still movement, and it's still movement in the right direction.
You know what? That is 100% true. And, I know that people are experiencing a lot of difficult things. The holidays, I've lost my parents and my mother-in-law as well, and holidays can be really tough, right? And so as we go into that, people get depressed. Some people actually are feeling depressed. Maybe they don't have the same people in their lives. Maybe the people in their lives are kind of mentally or emotionally bullying them. Maybe people don't appreciate them, and so it's really hard. And so I know there's a lot of depression that does tend to happen around the holidays. And so when we're talking about that piece, I say any movement, even I don't care if it's on the list of 5, right? And because there was days, I know, I think you've read some of my books, but one of them, I was married at a young age, and my husband left and took all my money and charged up my credit cards. Really, really emotionally traumatic thing. And there were days that I didn't want to get out of bed, right? And I just was so overwhelmed. And so, if you can open the mail, you need to say that's successful. If you can, you know what I mean? And throw a piece of trash away. If you can, do anything, I don't care what it is, because that momentum, that movement forward does perpetuate additional movement. And so I really recommend that you guys look at that. And then one of the things that I do to, again, don't beat yourself up. Movement. I always say, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back is still progress. And so, don't let the 2 steps back affect you. You're still a step ahead of the people that haven't moved.
Right.
Right?
The people that are sitting on the couch.
Yeah, right? And wallowing in it, because people, I get it. Trust me, I have had some, things happen in my life, wheelchairs and loss of a child and, things that we don't want to move. Just move forward. Just take that step, no matter how tiny it looks to you. There are a ton of people that won't take any step, that they will sit and wallow. So I just want to encourage you, any movement is good movement, any movement, and that will perpetuate new things. And listen to something positive. I always have a book on tape that I listen to, because when I'm discouraged, because Tammy, I know you never get discouraged, but right, people think our lives are so perfect. They have absolutely no idea behind the scenes. Life is not perfect. Because we show up with a positive attitude does not mean that our lives don't unravel too. And
Right.
so listen to something positive, because when I don't feel like doing anything, I will put on an audio cassette of something, or I say cassette because, I'm only 22. No, there was cassettes back in the day, but, use an audio book from Overdrive. They're free, and listen to something that will get me moving forward. One thing, take out the trash, do anything to move forward, and then you'll start your progress. And remember, okay, these are my objectives. I can work on that, and all of a sudden you'll see, okay, I don't feel so bad when I'm doing something. It distracts us from that challenge and moves us forward. So set the big goals, set the plan, but when the plan changes, just go with the flow and try and move forward.
And Vicky, I didn't know that about you, that you do that, because you know what? We never talked about this before, but I do the same thing but I do it sometimes with music.
Okay.
Or I have about 3 motivational speakers.
Uh-huh.
What's interesting is they're all like more aggressive motivational speakers. I don't know, maybe because I need to be yelled at. That's how they are. They're not like calming. They're like aggressive. And I put my earbuds in and I walk around and I listen to that. And I think it's like you're feeding yourself the positivity and the positive energy that you truly need at moments that you may not have it. And so I think that that's such a good thing to remember.
Well, that is a good point too, Tammy. As a matter of fact, if I'm trying to think, I don't think they can get it unless they have the book, but if they email me booking@vickyfitch.com. I will send them. We have a PDF with a playlist of motivational songs, like encouraging songs. Like when I have a crappy day, I have a whole list of things. And one of them is called Overcomer by Bandisa.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that song. And so when I'm feeling, like stressed out and overwhelmed, anyway, we have a playlist, a PDF playlist with actual links on it of motivational songs and encouraging songs. So I would love to send that to them, because right. Music definitely, you're right. Because if I'm totally in the doldrums, I'm hitting the music, because that's the first thing that's going to inspire me.
And then I'm singing,
right?
My lungs. Yeah,
I'm doing this. Oh my God! Like I'm telling myself, because she says you're in the fight. It's the final round, and I'm like, yeah, And I'm sitting there, people looking, I might have tears running down my face, but I am an overcomer, dang it.
Right. I do that same thing all the time. To keep it just, to keep it moving. So, I mean, I think that there are so many things that we can do, little things that sometimes we don't even think about, that are very accessible to us in that level of movement. There was something that I wanted to say, but like I told you before, I got up at 1:00 this morning, and I'm telling you that all morning, everything that I've been, this isn't a nice word, but regurgitation. And I'll tell you how that plays into life, is that I feel like in regular life we can do it, but in caregiver life, it can happen very easily because we do have so much on our shoulders. But as I say, sometimes we have burdens, but God gave us big shoulders for them to sit on. And, when we're at the hospital, when we're going with our loved ones, when we're getting the negative feedback about our health, wellness for ourselves, for our loved ones, it can be very daunting. And I've noticed over the years of social media that a lot of times, people aren't always using it in the most positive way to just kind of talk about their situation, to maybe get ideas for problem solving. A lot of times it just turns into this overhaul of sadness. You know what I'm saying? And what is going on? And I've been asked a lot of times, because every week we're at the hospital about 3 to 4 days a week, but nobody knows that we're there. And I don't ever put that, I don't put that, because I feel like, and this is just for me, and maybe for someone else, they might have a different strategy. I feel like every time that you repeat it of what's going on, what's happening, where you're at, why it's negative, it's just like feeding it into your brain more and more and more and more. And not as if you're trying to pretend it's not happening, but I just feel like there's something, and this was when my son was really young and we started going, and I was doing that. I felt like it just put so much more weight on my shoulders, instead of saying, you know what? This is what I'm doing. I'm taking my work bag. I'm taking my laptop. I'm taking my stuff. We're going. And I might wait there for 4 hours, and it might not be good. And I might not hear what I want to hear, but I know that regardless, that I have the tools and the strategies that I'm going to do my best to advocate and get where we need to go.
Absolutely.
Instead of that whole process. I think there's a lot of positivity in different groups that are out there for specific health things to talk about it and lend each other support and helpful tools. But as you know, sometimes that can get skewed. And I've heard that from other families and stuff as well, that sometimes they're joining groups just to have someone to have synergy with. And then what ends up happening is, it's like an unveiling of everyone's kind of trash onto a feed. And so
the dumping, they dump.
The dump.
And it's like, that's why I said it feels like I'm trying to unbury myself.
So I think that, I would encourage people for this new year, if you are in any of those groups, because just this last week, 3 different parents told me about groups like this. They're like, I don't even want to join groups anymore. And I said, you know what, if it's not giving you good content, good information, that's helpful tools for you, if it's not there for you to maybe bounce off of another parent, hey, this is going on with my kiddo, it's a struggle. And, it's not real support. It's more of just feeling like a lot of yuck.
Yeah. I totally agree. I have one great support group for, my son has Asperger's, and he's a great kid, but life is different, and there are outbursts and things where are very inconvenient times, right? There's just these things that happen, and this group where you share and people give you positive support. You're not dumping. Like sometimes once in a while people say, oh, I just need to vent a little, like this happened and I'm mad at this supervisor, and then, but people don't start wallowing, right? I started one of my own groups as well, just to make sure, because I want to provide support for people, right? I want to give them tools and things. And like what you were saying about going to the hospital, we need to give people solutions and saying, hey, when you have, situations where you've got to go in the hospital, or you have to have a go bag. Your go bag needs to be ready, and it needs to have this, these things in it all the time, and you're ready and you're prepared, and you have a list of things to do while you're there, so you stay productive, so you don't feel like, I'm wasting time. I'm never going to reach my goals. I'm not no. have your go bag. And when we see that vision, the preparation then we lose the, because in Evict the Bully in Your Head, I talk about those being bullies, right? Anger, resentment, frustration, those things don't serve us. They are just a nuisance. And even grief. Now, grief is something to be dealt with, like felt and moved through. It is not something to be your new best friend, right? That's where grief becomes that bully that you have got to evict. You cannot, and like I said, resentment in the caregiving industry, resentment is a big deal because, and again, I know many of you may not want to hear this. And again, I'm not talking to you specifically, but we get that martyrdom syndrome. Martyrdom is also a bully. It's like, oh, well, I'm taking care of my family, or, I get where we need some accolades, we need some reinforcement, but we have to remember to find the right support group, like this podcast, for instance, finding the right, looking for solutions. Because I always say, there's lots of problem identifiers in the world. We need problem solvers. And when we can connect with a problem solver like you, okay, she's providing me solutions. There's, like I said, with my kids, I always told them, if you want to bring me a problem, you bring me 3 potential solutions. Okay. They can be from the obvious to the outlandish. I don't care. Right. But we will think through solutions, because that gives us opportunity for change and growth. And it gets the mind going. So the endorphins start flowing and pulls us out of our funk, at least a little bit, even if the ideas are ridiculous. Like when Elijah used to say, yeah, Zach's, mad at me. And I'd say, what can we do? Well, we can ship him off to the moon. Okay, there's an idea, right? And we'll laugh, but that was one of the outlandish. And then it gives us a place to go. So I don't know if that will help, but
yeah, I just think that it makes things so much more productive because we can sit and we can wallow in it, or we can actively create change. I know one of our community members, so proud, I just posted on our main page because she was on the news, that I've had all these active campaigns going on for the adult changing tables across the United States. We've done lots of campaigns on our show about it, but it's such an issue because people think like, it's just these young adults, but, our elderly loved ones become incontinent. At some point, you may become incontinent. We need these tables at museums and airports and whatnot. And she has been fighting the fight here in our state. And the bill is now up to possibly be passed for it to go into all of our amusement parks and zoos and things like that. And I know actively in Atlanta and Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh, there have been so many moms and dads that are campaigning. That's where I say they have a voice that they're irritated about it. But they're doing something about it to create and change it. And so as we launch ourselves into 2020, I challenge all of you to do that in all different aspects of your life. When you want to see change, when you want to see progress, you can be agitated about it, but what's going to be your action plan to use your voice to create change?
Yeah, and be productive change, right? Because we can, I have a new segment on my podcast coming out called "We're Not Going to Take It," and it's about brands that are treating people poorly. They're on purpose, not miscommunications. Like that's the whole behind the scenes thing, is that we try and resolve it and work it out, and then report on what's happening. But they're with solutions. Like it's not just a dumping and, hey, let's hate on these people. It's a, hey, we've given you a chance. Here's the thing we want you to know as a community, and here are some solutions. So then the brands have an opportunity to save face and say, hey, yeah, we heard you and we're going to fix that. Or they ignore it, and then people at least know what people are doing. So again, we have to be problem solvers. The world needs people that are thinking in ways that will support other people, not will suck them down into the pit or the mire of whining and complaining. It's just like you said, it's like it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
And for any of the folks that are listening now, I know so many people are busy today, or whether you're catching this on the replay, I'm sure Vicky, as well as I, would love to know, what are your New Year's goals, I guess, that you have. What are
Yeah.
you planning for? Do you have any special New Year's traditions? I was telling Vicky this morning, my group of business ladies come over with their kids, and we kind of plan out, we write our family goals and our business goals and all that kind of thing. And so I would love to hear from you guys as to the things that you guys do during, for the new year as well, because I think that sometimes we can borrow from other people's traditions, because sometimes
Totally.
people have some really cool things that they offer. And one other point, I wanted to just get your feedback on this. So I've read statistically, okay, that, and I think it's valid, that if you write down your goals, 42% of people attain the goals they write down. Okay. But when you also share it with a friend, speak it into existence, 78%.
I believe those are accurate numbers. I think the last one I saw also said when it's with a comparative plan, like when you do all 3 steps, that it's 86%. And so, right. So it's not just because saying it is one thing, right? And it
Right.
engages one part of the brain. Writing it down engages another part of the brain. Sharing it with other people creates that accountability and actually even an excitement to it. But having the actual plan that you can check things off and say, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to do these 5 calls, or I'm supposed to make contact with one new person, or whatever it is, it gives you a roadmap. So when you get lost, when the navigation seems like the internet is not allowing you to have what it needs to have, that you still have, it's like reading the stars, or going through that. We've got to have that plan. So yes, writing them down. I'd love to hear what people's goals are. And some people complain about the word resolution, and I always have New Year's resolutions, like what my plan is that I want to achieve for the year. But
Right.
my plan is not the same. The resolutions are just kind of this list that I look over every day and go, yes, I'm on track. Not doing so good on that one. So I know I can reformulate. But
Mhm.
then the plan is like, okay, I want to have this. I want to take care of this. I want to de-stress or declutter, or encourage my kids to read more, whatever it is. And then again, back it up. Tom Hopkins calls it reduce it to the ridiculous. Take the plan, break it out into those little bite-sized daily pieces, and put something together where you have that opportunity to know I'm on track or I'm not on track.
Well, Vicky, you have given us lots to think about this morning. And I'd love, before we go off, not only for you to share how people can get in contact with you and connect, and then we'll drop that email below so they could email you for that great song play. But is there something special that you're doing or that you do for a New Year's Eve tradition, like just family get together? Is there anything special that you do?
I do. Every year we have everybody come over here. We don't drink. And so we always get nervous about people, that do drink or out on the roads. And, so we play games, we watch movies. And this year the boys have invited their girlfriends and their families. And so, anyway, my husband makes a big pot of chili, and we have pizza, we have hot dogs, so they can make chili dogs, they can make nachos, they can eat plain chili. And so they can kind of graze through, have all these snacks and fun, and we just play games and goof around and just spend time together.
Right.
And it's the kids really look forward to it. It's just we love it. It's just so fun. And at midnight we take a picture in front of our TV when the ball drops. So every year we have a picture of everybody, who's there trying to get in, and I set the timer on my camera, and we'll go, so it's just something fun, and it's just a fun tradition we do.
Well, I will be looking for that photo tonight. Um, and where can people find you, Vicky? Where are all the different avenues?
Well, my website is vickyfitch.com, VICKIFITCH.com. I'm social media platforms. I'm Vicki Fitch or Vicky_Fitch, depending on if if it was available on platforms. Facebook is a great place. It's Vicki Fitch 1 on Facebook, but it's like I said, I'm on all social media platforms. As a matter of fact, we just launched our TikTok account on the 29th, because that was National TikTok Day, and that was my prediction for this year, that TikTok is going to really crush it in the new year. So follow me there as well, and you'll be seeing some fun content. What's that?
I'm going to need to get on TikTok.
Go get them, girl, because it's a great place to be, and you'll start seeing brands doing. I call it the micro content. This is going to be the micro content year, and where people are doing videos and creating something in 1 minute increments or less. So it's actually a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. And so we can find all that information right on your website, right?
Yep, VickyFitch.com. All of it'll be there.
All right, wonderful. Well, Vicky, thank you for spending your New Year's Eve morning with us and getting up bright and early in California.
No problem.
To be on live with us. I want to extend to each and every one of you out in our on-air advocate community and those that are in our audience watching today for a very safe, healthy, happy beginning and kickoff to your new year. Please tonight be safe out there. Do not drink and drive, and encourage your friends the same. And
Absolutely.
so thank you, Vicky. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it, guys all watching. If you want to know more about the On-Air Advocate, you can head on over to onairadvocate.com. If you want to join our private community, head up to the top of this Facebook page, hit the blue button, and that will let you into our private group. So on that, happy Tuesday, happy New Year's Eve. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.